I'm just going to be honest. For years, a lot of us have been let down by Chopper. Our favorite doctor, the reindeer who wants to cure every single disease, has been stuck on the sidelines. While everyone else's power levels went to the moon, he was basically just the cute mascot. Yeah, he patches up the crew, but when it came to the biggest threats, his role felt tiny. Other characters like Law or even Reiju got to have his biggest medical moments. But what if I told you Oda didn't forget? What if this was all part of the most insane setup in One Piece history? What if Chopper's dream to cure every disease wasn't just a nice goal, but was literally a spoiler for his awakened devil fruit power? A power that would turn him into a god of medicine. For so long, we've only talked about a new monster point, just thinking about how much stronger he could get. But what if we've been looking in the completely wrong direction? This is the theory of Chopper's Hito Hito no Mi awakening, the god form. It's a transformation that doesn't just make him a bigger monster, it would make his healing so powerful it's basically divine, letting him cure anything and counter the craziest weapons the final villains will have. To see where Chopper's going, we have to look at where he's been. At his core, Chopper is a Zoan user, and when you think of awakened zones, you think of Impel Down. The jailer beasts. Those giant brutes were our first look. They were mindless monsters known for their insane strength and, more importantly, their crazy recovery. You could beat them down and they would just get right back up, a key trait of awakened zones. After the time skip, we saw Rob Lucci and Kaku do it way better. Their awakenings let them keep their minds, giving them a huge power-up, and that awesome Hagoromo scarf made of dark energy. They were faster, stronger, and tougher, a simple upgrade to how they fight. And then there's Luffy. The bombshell that the Gomu Gomu no Mi was actually the mythical zone Hito Hito no Mi model Nika completely broke our brains. His awakening, Gear 5, wasn't just a power-up, it was the literal embodiment of the fruit's identity, the warrior of liberation. It gave him a rubbery body and total freedom, perfectly matching his dream from Chapter 1. This is the key. Luffy's awakening wasn't just about punching harder, it was about his deepest dream and the fruit's own will coming true. So what does this mean for Chopper? He doesn't have a crazy mythical fruit like Nika or Sengoku's Buddha. He has the basic human fruit. For years, people thought it was a joke, but for an animal, it gives them the most powerful thing in the world, human intelligence. That fruit is the only reason Chopper could even learn medicine. His entire life is built on that gift. So if you think his awakening will only be a bigger, mindless monster point, you're missing the entire point of his character. Chopper's current monster point is basically a forced, messed up awakening. It gives him incredible power, but he loses himself. A true awakening has to be more. It has to be an upgrade not just for his body, but for the very thing the Hito Hito no Mi gave him, the limitless power of the human mind. When you actually start looking for the clues Oda left, this god form idea stops being a wild guess and starts looking like a path he's been building for over 20 years. Let's go all the way back to Drum Island. Chopper's whole life was shaped by Dr. Kureha and Dr. Hiruluck. Hiruluck was a terrible doctor, but he had one insane belief. There is no disease in this world that cannot be cured. This is Chopper's #1 rule. Hiruluck died trying to create a panacea, a miracle cure. He failed, but his dream was passed to Chopper, who promised to become that panacea himself. Dr. Kureha even says it. When she sees Hiruluck's cherry blossoms, which have 0 medical properties but heal the people's hearts, she calls it a miracle. Oda is literally linking Chopper's dream to creating medical miracles. How can Chopper ever do that with normal medicine? He can't. He needs a miracle. He needs an awakening that is literally impossible. Now look at what's coming. The Straw Hats are about to fight enemies that are crazier than anything they've ever seen, including the Gorosei. Theories are everywhere that these guys aren't just strong, they seem to have regeneration that makes them almost impossible to kill. How do you beat an enemy that you can't put down? This is where Chopper becomes one of the most important people in the series. In the final war, Chopper's biggest job might not be fighting, but creating a counter to their immortality, making the Gorosei vulnerable so the crew can actually win. This would make him an MVP of the entire war. And then there's his perfect rival, Doc Q of the Blackbeard Pirates. Doc Q has the sickness fruit, which lets him just create diseases. He's the total opposite of Chopper. This fight is definitely going to happen. Sooner or later, Chopper will have to fight Doc Q's magical sicknesses. And even though Chopper is a genius, he proved it by curing the Isoni virus in Wano, Doc Q's powers are supernatural. To beat a devil fruit that creates disease from nothing, Chopper will need a devil fruit that can destroy disease on that same supernatural level. Normal medicine won't be enough. He'll need an awakening that lets him create a miracle cure instantly. A god form that represents perfect health. Just look at the other Straw Hats. Their biggest power-ups are tied to their dreams. Luffy's dream of being the freest person alive gave him Gear 5. Sanji, who dreamed of the All Blue, now uses Ifrit Jambe, a blue flame hotter than anything. Zoro's journey to be the world's strongest swordsman is just him getting better at fighting. Chopper's dream is to cure every disease. Why would he be the only one whose ultimate power-up has nothing to do with his dream? A bigger monster point makes him a better fighter, but it does nothing to help him become the world's greatest doctor. In fact, it used to turn him into a mindless beast, taking him further from his dream. A true awakening has to combine the user's mind, body, and the fruit's will. For Chopper, that means his medical skills have to get a massive boost. His journey has been about controlling his power, and the next step is a form that brings everything together. The brilliant doctor and the powerful Zoan. A god form that makes his medical genius a real world-changing power is the only thing that makes sense. Oda loves using real-world mythology. Luffy is the sun god Nika. It just makes sense that Chopper, the doctor, would have a link to a god of medicine and healing. There's a cool theory that points to Cernunnos, a god with antlers who protects nature, a perfect fit for Chopper. Other people think his fruit could be a Bigfoot model, since he came from a snowy mountain. Some even think his awakening could be like an angel, a holy being that purifies things, which fits the god theme perfectly. Whatever it is, all these theories point to one thing. He's going to transform into a legendary healer. The Hito Hito no Mi gave him the power of humanity, and one of humanity's oldest dreams is to beat sickness and death. And don't forget, Oda himself said Chopper can't cure the smile fruits yet. That tiny word leaves the door wide open for a future power-up where he could do just that, maybe by literally resetting a person's DNA. So what would this god form actually look like? Forget the giant angry beast from his old monster point. Picture something completely different. Instead of getting more monstrous, Chopper could become more calm and wise. Maybe he's not even a giant. It could be a more refined version of his heavy point. The biggest sign would be a soft, warm, golden or pink aura, like the scarves on other awakened zones, but giving off a calm, life-giving energy. His fur could turn pure white, and his antlers could actually glow, like the mythical Kirin. But who cares what it looks like? The function of this god form would be the best support ability in the entire series. Its main job isn't to punch, but to heal. This could be used in some incredible ways. First, a healing aura. Imagine Chopper putting out a field around him that heals anyone inside it at super speed. In a giant battle, that would be a game changer, letting him heal dozens of people at once without even trying. Second, instant antidote creation. If Doc Q throws out a new disease, Chopper wouldn't need a lab. His awakened body could analyze it and instantly create the perfect cure inside his own system, maybe spreading it through the air or by touch. It would be the next crazy step up from what he did in Wano. And third, this is where it gets insane. The power to cancel unnatural states. This is how he could be the secret to beating the Gorosei. If their immortality comes from a devil fruit or some science, Chopper's god form might be able to just turn it off. He could touch an enemy and temporarily reset their body, taking away their regeneration and making them mortal again. He wouldn't kill them, he'd just make them beatable so his crewmates can finish the job. He becomes the ultimate support character, a living panacea. The emotional payoff would be huge. For his whole life, Chopper has been called a monster. This awakening would flip that completely. He would find his greatest power not by being a scarier monster, but by becoming the ultimate healer. His strength wouldn't be measured by how much he can destroy, but by how many lives he can save. It's the perfect ending for his journey from an outcast reindeer to the doctor who can do the impossible. When you put it all together, it's obvious we've been looking at Chopper all wrong. We judged him as a fighter, and by that measure, he seemed to be falling behind. But that was never his real job. His entire identity, the promise he inherited from Dr. Hiruluk, was never about being a brawler. It was about being a savior. The clues are all there, from Drum Island to the Final Saga. The way his story mirrors Luffy's awakening, the need for a secret weapon against the Gorosei and Doc Q, and the promise he made to a dying doctor all point to this one insane theory. Chopper's awakening won't just be another power-up. It will be the fulfillment of his dream, a god form that goes beyond fighting and lets him create medical miracles. He would finally have the power to save not just his crew, but maybe the entire world from its most incurable diseases. It's not just a cool theory. It feels like the most satisfying ending possible for the Straw Hat Pirate's doctor. But hey, that's just my theory. What do you think? Is Chopper just going to get a new and improved monster point, or will he get this insane medical god form? Is there an even crazier theory I'm missing? Let me know all your theories in the comments right now. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and smash that like button. And be sure to subscribe for more crazy One Piece videos. Thanks for watching.